Hey guys, this is Ashley with Dabble. One of the things that we do at Dabble as a do-it-yourself arts and crafts studio is a lot of resin. And it is our most popular area, and there are a lot of questions that we get about like our experience and what we find to be the best kind of resin and things like that. And so I thought that it might be useful to people who are new to using resin to begin just rating it and giving our experience and things like that. So today I'm going to start with the kinds of resins that we've used so far and tell you some of the pros and some of the cons and things that I liked and didn't like about the resin. And then maybe later in the series I'll talk about like my favorite molds and things like from my experience, and just give some basic information for people who are looking for a good starting point. So with that being said, one of the most recent resins that we have tried is, resin is sticky, Clear Cast 7000 Jewelry Craft and Casting Resin is what it's called. This is what the label looks like. This is a 24-hour resin, which means that it's for larger pieces and it takes 24 hours to harden. And so it's like different than the UV resin, things that people generally use to make smaller pieces like jewelry, which just takes about 2 to 4 minutes to harden with a UV light. So in my experience, this resin is okay. It's a little bit hard to pour and measure because the part A is extremely thick. And so it's not really like, it doesn't come out very quickly, and it's hard to see like exactly what is level with your measure, which is like really important when you're pouring, because of course if you can't get things measured correctly, then it's not going to harden. It's just going to turn into like a gel substance, and it's super hard to clean up. The other part, on the other hand, is extremely liquidy and comes out very, very fast. So there's not really a good in between here. The resin I've found doesn't work very well with like large, thick pieces. So things like a 3D cube, something like this. It doesn't do very well with things like this because it yellows and it comes out with like a bunch of little cracks on the sides and things of that nature, which just isn't great. Nobody wants things like that in their project. So based on my experience, which this is our third brand we've tried, I would rate this one at about a 3. It's not one that I would recommend for anybody, and once we've gone through this resin, we will not be ordering it again. Another resin brand that we've tried is the Unicone brand. And let me go get a bottle of that so you can see what it looks like. Actually, I think I have some over here. Yeah, so I have some, but I think they've since changed their label. So let's see. I've got the old label over here. So this is the Unicone brand, and notice it's Unicone, not unicorn. We had trouble finding it again because we kept calling it unicorn resin. This is the second resin that we tried, and so far it is my favorite. It comes out very clear for everything that we've tried. It comes out very clear with like the cubes, like I just showed you. It comes out really clear for coasters and really flat pieces, and it even does pretty well in smaller pieces, so things like resin crystals, and things like that. So far it's been our favorite brand. A downside is that it is pretty pricey as far as like how much the 2 parts cost. I think that for the 2 gallons, it was like $169. So it's a bit more expensive. So the other brand that I showed you was cheaper, and that's why we were trying it. We were hoping it would be comparable, but it's just not. And so we're going to end up going back to the Unicone brand. So yeah. And then the last brand is Let's Resin. And I don't have an example of what that looks like any longer, but it was the first brand that we tried when we first opened. And again, in our experience, it just wasn't like the best. It often came out really foggy and really bubbly, like no matter how slowly we stirred it and no matter how like to the T we followed the instructions. So that's not one that I really liked either. I would say that it was better than the first brand that I showed you, the Clear Cast 7000. I would probably rate that one at like a 5 or a 6, whereas with Unicone I would rate that one at like probably an 8 or a 9. It does still have its problems. Sometimes we still have bubbles, but it just comes out super clear and beautiful, and it is my favorite so far. So I hope that might be helpful if you are considering trying resin. If you're in the Springfield area, Dabble is a fantastic place to give it a try and even to continue working at, because we clean up the resin for you, which is a really big deal. Resin is not fun to clean. So, and with that, I think that my next video will be a rating of molds. So stay tuned for that. Thank you. Have a good day.